Okay, so I want to take a look at embedding audio files into Google Form tests for the support of our students who struggle with various learning disabilities in the area of reading and writing. And this is so easy and so slick that you won't believe how simple it is to create a really good test for students of any age. So I'm going to go right through the process of adding another question. And all I'm doing for this particular test is I'm copy pasting it from a Google Doc that contains the original test. And I'm putting in the answer keys and adding the audio files. So we're going to do the next question, and I'm just going to copy paste it from the original test itself. So we'll take the first bit, the question. And it's multiple choice, so I'll leave that as the default. Now you may notice that in the Google form it doesn't have A, B, C, D in front of the options here. You could, if you really felt that that needed to be there, in front of each response, you could put the letters. And I would leave that up to you, obviously, as a professional, how you prefer to have that handled in your class. I'm just going to do this through the default mechanisms. So we have a question here. It is a multiple choice question. There's my 4 responses. So let's go into the answer key first and let's set the answer. So the answer to that question is A, pumps blood to all parts of the body. We'll make it worth 1 point. I'll hit the done button here and I'm going to make it required. Now, I want to read that question and the answers aloud so that a student who needs that support and learning has access to it. So I have found a Chrome extension that is really slick. So it's called Talk and Comment, Voice Notes Anywhere, and you can see that I've already got it installed into my Chrome because this doesn't say add to Chrome, it says remove from Chrome. And if we come back over to that test that I'm working on, you can see just over here on the right-hand side, I've got that same little microphone that we see on the Chrome web stores. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this microphone and I'm going to read that question out loud and I'm going to read the 4 answers. In the human heart, the wall of the left ventricle is thicker than that of the right ventricle because the left ventricle pumps blood to all parts of the body, contracts more often than the right ventricle, has more room to expand on the left side of the body, receives blood that has a high concentration of oxygen. So when I click that check mark that I'm done recording the question, it brings up this yellow pop-up window. And it's already actually copied the link for me. All I have to do is hit OK. And I'm going to come down here and right at the end of the question, I'm going to paste that. So on our creation screen, it doesn't look so nice. So let's take a look at what the kids see. So I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to click the preview button to see what a student taking this test would see. So here's my quiz. And at the end of each question, there's a little voice note, and it does say underneath, obviously, that it's a voice note, but you'll note that every question has that play button. So we're going to come down to the question we just added, and we're going to play that to see how this works. In the human heart, the wall of the left ventricle is thicker than that of the right ventricle because the left ventricle pumps blood to all parts of the body, contracts more often than the right ventricle, has more room to expand on the left side of the body, receives blood that has a high concentration of oxygen. And so we're not changing tabs here. There's nothing else the student needs to access. They can play this again as many times as they want to be able to hear the question asked to them. So just to validate that, in the human, and I can pause it as well. So let's come back over to our official quiz creation screen. And now let's look at some of the options that are available to us that weren't available before because the student had to keep track of which question they were on as well as which audio file they needed to listen to. So I've got my form set to collect email addresses. Good idea to always do that with these kinds of quizzes. That way, if you forget to ask the question, what is your name? You don't have the confusion of not knowing whose test belongs to whom. I do want it to require sign-in. This is not something that's open to just anybody. Users have to be in CESD. I'm limiting it to one response. You can't do my quiz multiple times. I've unchecked edit after submit. You can't edit it after you've turned it in. And I'm not going to have the kids see the summary charts and text responses. This is a quiz, and that would be, in my opinion, private data. The presentation. This is the one where this gets really neat. We can shuffle question order in lots of the online testing applications for our students who don't require the reading support. But it's been very difficult to shuffle question order when we've had these audio files that we had to continue to be able to connect which audio file goes with which question. Now, if I want to shuffle the question order, I can totally do that. Then under quizzes, I've got this, make this a quiz. That's how it is that I'm able to enter the answers for the answer key. I'm not going to turn on locked mode until the kiddos are actually going to be doing the quiz, but this is a whole new security feature now for our modified exams, because when we lock the mode, they can't open other tabs or other applications, and we don't have to leave that open because they're not opening a tab where their audio files are. All of their files are on the same screen. Now, if we lock it, it is worth noting they have to be using a Chinook's Edge Chromebook for you to utilize the locked mode. It does get a little bit challenging when we're looking at a bit of home delivery on this, but for the most part, we'd be using it in our face-to-face classrooms anyway. Now, I can have it release the grade immediately after each submission, but this one, as we get towards the end, is going to have a couple of short answer questions. It's not fully a multiple choice quiz. So I'm going to select later after manual review, and this right there, it's going to turn on the email collection for me if I happen to have missed it. Then I can decide what my student can see as they go through. If I want them to be able to see missed questions, if this was formative, definitely I would want them to be able to see that. If it's formative, I also want them to see the correct answers. So when they get something wrong, they can see why they got it wrong. And then the point values, that shows it to the kids too, how much each question is worth. So I'm going to save these settings, and I have a quiz that's ready to go for my kids who struggle to read and keep track of everything in their head that they need to keep track of. When blood enters a vein from a venule, and there we go. We've got a test built with audio supports right inside of it.